Thank you for joining us for Real Talk with Arlette. This show is about bringing together a diverse group of ladies to exchange ideas and share their experience on topics that relate to women. Today's topic is practicing self-care while caring for aging parents. What exactly is self-care? Well, self-care in a nutshell is taking time to care for yourself to either preserve your health or improve your own health. So ladies, do you practice self-care? Well, my guests today will share with you their story of how they practice self-care in the midst of having to care for their aging parents. So let's have some real talk. Ladies, thank you all for joining me. Joslyn, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And Allyson and Raegan, thank you so much for joining. Tell me, how is it? I mean, it's tough. For me, I have aging parents as well. And it's very, it's tough to see them age because for my parents, they not only were working professionals, but they also were entrepreneurs. So it was always a fast pace. And they were able to just do everything. I had super mom and super dad. And now they just can't do everything that they can't do. Well, for my dad, he can't do a lot of what he used to do. So it's hard for them, and it's also hard for the caregiver. And it's emotionally draining, physically draining. And share with me, how do you all manage to take care of yourselves in the midst of caring for your parents?
Well, for me, I know with my mom, she had a stroke.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much that she was just aging and losing her mind, but with the stroke, it took away a lot of the things that she could do.
Right.
So, and when a person has a stroke, I mean, she couldn't do hardly anything for herself. So I had to really step out of the zone, get into my inner self, and just kind of do work from within.
Right.
I know most people think of self-care as facial,
right,
you know, going to the spa, getting your nails done.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I did not have time to do those things.
Right.
So it was just taking just a few moments each day and each night to just, you know, think about why I'm here. I'm here taking care of my mom, but I also have to take care of myself. So
for sure.
Little things like making a list, like gratitude journal, really helped me.
Right.
It's funny, I was going to say the same thing. My father's 84, and he's, through the last several years, he lives with my brother full time, but I help my brother and go over there as much as I can. But he recently had a heart attack and was in the hospital for almost a month. And so the last few months have been really more difficult than even before. But what you touched on, although, you know, physical care is important, but mental care is so important at this time, because I'm still a work in progress for me. But just journaling my feelings and getting it out, and even for me, because my father and I haven't always had the best relationship. You know, he's still my dad. I still love him, but there's a lot of stuff inside of me that you know.
Yeah.
You know, I wish this. I would. You know, these kind of things. Why was he
differently?
Right. And I have to forgive him. I have to just for myself.
Right. Oh, yes.
And
for your own health.
Exactly. For my self-care.
Yeah.
And I found that just journaling and writing, and you know, somebody had one time like, maybe write him a letter, and I'm like, well, I don't think I want to give him anything, but I just want to get it out and write it down.
It's accepting the apology that you'll never get.
Right. Exactly.
It's being appreciated for the things that someone never said I appreciate you for.
Right. And he never will.
And that's how my dad is too. I take care of my mom, and you know, anytime you're taking care of someone, you're not going to get that appreciation. You're not going to be like, oh my God, Raegan, you're doing an incredible job. Like I will never hear that.
Right.
You have to tell that to yourself.
You do. You do.
In order to keep going, because you know, you can't do it for the thanks and the grandiose and all that.
Because that's not going to happen. I've been through that a couple
times
because I had to take care of, my father passed away when I was 25. And so
Wow.
after that, his mother was still alive. So I take care of his mother, had to take care of his mother's sister who were aging as
Oh,
well.
my goodness.
And I did all that remotely from Chicago. Plus what my dad was going through, right? I was 25, not fully understanding everything that he's going through, but still checking on him. Daddy, how are you? How you feel? And at that point, really not pausing for self-care, but taking self-care, right? Because I'm younger. So I'm going out with my friends, I'm doing whatever, and now reflectively, I can look back and say, wow, I should have paused a little bit more, maybe for him, but at that point, I was still living life. I was young.
Right.
And now, being in the situation with my mother, being part of a sandwich generation, having a young family and an aging parent, and being sandwiched between the two.
Right.
And trying to facilitate for their needs and for her needs.
Right.
Some days trying not to pull my hair out. And so, my brother lives in Seattle, so he can't really assist me, and he couldn't really assist me prior to with my father or my aging grandmother and great aunt. So really now just finding that time to just say yes to myself, because a lot of times you deny yourself. I'm so tired, I'm just going to pass out. And sometimes it is that way, and it's okay, but then you're missing out on life, and you have to carve out that time for yourself to say, how do I get me back? How do I say okay to me? I was saying in another session that sometimes it's difficult for me because I make decisions all day long. I'm telling people what to do, how to do it, what's the best way to do it, and then coming back, my mother will call and say, so Microsoft called and they said, Mom, that wasn't Microsoft, stop answering the phone. Or I got an email from Mom, if you do not personally know them, do not respond. Delete. Just delete.
Right.
So it's trying to like almost parent.
You're parenting. You're
Yes,
parent. And I
You are.
never wanted to be in that
You are.
situation.
Right. None of
Yeah.
us do.
I left
It's
home.
unnatural.
Yeah, and they
Right.
were arguing and they were calling me, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. Y'all have to get along.
Yeah.
Because I lived home for a few years. I moved back. My mom was initially taking care of my 90-year-old grandfather.
Yes, she was.
Oh,
And
wow.
she had a stroke because she did not do self-care.
Right.
Wow.
She
Right.
overextended herself, neglected her health, had a stroke, and
Yeah.
so I moved home temporarily I thought I was just saving up to purchase. So I walked in a situation where I was kind of helping out to being the help.
Right.
So I had to take care of her and
Right.
take care of my grandfather,
Wow.
and then deal with my parents who were for some reason acting like
Children.
children.
Oh,
Right. I was the one
Right.
going around going, you have to go to bed.
Take your medicine.
Take your
Yes.
medicine. Stop arguing.
Right.
Don't do this. And I'm like,
Yep.
why am I in this situation? How did this happen?
Right.
How did we get here?
Exactly.
I can totally
It's crazy.
relate. I worry about my mom because we have my mother who is a cancer survivor, not once but twice.
Wow, that's amazing.
So she is a fighter for sure,
Yeah.
but she is also taking care of my father, who is, she has to help him do some things. In addition to that, my godmother has now moved in with them because she fell and broke her hip, and she can't do for herself. So my mother is basically the caregiver, and I go as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while I'm there, I'm trying to cook, I'm trying to clean, I'm trying to hire people to come pressure wash the house, come do the grass, everything.
Chores,
Trying to
Yeah.
do everything. And it was to the point where I said, you know what, I can't just do this in a weekend, a 2-day weekend, because I'm burnt out and I have to go back to work Monday. So I had to make a decision. You're going to have to take some time away from work because your parents, they gave birth to you, they took care of you, and now it's your turn. Now, granted, I do have 4 other brothers, but that's a whole different
That's
show.
a whole different show.
I have a
Different
brother
show.
too, and
Right.
I think for them, it's just, they can help it in their own way,
Right.
And so my brother, he'll come in a situation and he'll just get overwhelmed
They
in
do.
the actual
Yes.
thought of
Right.
I'm
Yes.
so needed, and I end up consoling him, and I'm like, what did you come over here for? 'Cause
I'm more
I'm
stressed out.
on my plate.
Right.
And so And so, having brothers, it's a whole nother.
But I think we
They're
end up
not
in that
capable of
role
doing
because,
it.
right, as a child,
Natural
as a young
caregivers.
woman, as a little girl, you learn to play and imitate, right? So you learn how to imitate being a caregiver because you see your mom do it or your grandmother or your aunt or whoever.
That's
So
true.
then innately, I don't know if it's natural as much as it is innate that you develop this, and they don't do the
We
same
are
thing.
natural.
Except I'm the
nurturers.
exception
Yeah.
to the rule. I have a wonderful brother who
Oh,
does,
wow.
who does
Yeah.
everything.
And I'm not
There
saying
are
that
some
mine aren't
nurturing
one
men.
of
There are some nurturing men out there.
My father
brother's
lives
not.
with my brother.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
I mean, he really does. He's
Yeah.
his nurse now.
Wow.
That's
I mean,
incredible.
That is incredible.
He's
You
an
don't hear that
attorney.
often.
He's, he works also.
Yeah.
He has, so
Yeah.
and I almost have guilt because I don't, do as much as he does.
Right,
So
for
I'm,
sure.
have to
It's the
kind of
opposite for
deal
you.
with that.
Yeah.
But they've always, been close, and I haven't had that close relationship with my father. So it's just a different
Dynamic.
And
Yeah,
our
for sure.
Yeah.
mother passed away when we were little, so it's always just been the three of us.
Oh, wow.
So it's just a different dynamic.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But just trying to be there as much as you can.
Right, and it's a lot some days because some days innately we're selfish too, and so we're like, oh, again I gotta go over here, and so it's for me, I spend a lot of time. My mother was just recently diagnosed with an illness, and so it's not life threatening, but it is degenerative, and so I have to remind her to do things, or hey, have we gone to physical therapy? What's going on?
Right.
While I'm keeping track of my life, or telling her, wait, don't do this. Sit down. The other night she was at my house. She likes to come and spend the night with Jay, and so Grammy comes over to have a sleepover, so to speak, and so she is
Sweet.
rearranged. Yeah, it is, because I didn't have that time with my grandparents, so I love to see them that way. But it is, I had to put them to bed. I'm going to bed. What are you guys doing? So you end up parenting. So I'm trying to take my time. I'm decompressing. I'm thinking it's going to be quiet. And here I hear all this giggling and this bam, bam.
Oh.
What are y'all doing? We're having a pillow fight. Go to bed before somebody breaks something and we're at the urgent care. So it can be, a lot some days, but some days reflectively I can laugh and I can pause and laugh. But when you're in the throes of trying to do everything for your family and for them as well, you're at your wit's end and you wonder, how did I get here? You see them in this strong role. I can remember growing up in Chicago, my mother and I, when I started working downtown, walking to the train together and then walking downtown together briskly through the, she teaches me how to cut through the buildings because it's frigid in Chicago.
Wow.
And so learning that from her and just always being this strong person to now being,
It's a
a
transition.
shell of yourself.
Yeah.
And some days you look at them and you just want to burst into tears, but you have to let
Yeah,
God.
This is our family now.
Yes.
It changed.
Right.
My mom was the center of our family.
Yeah.
So it drastically changed how we just dealt as a unit.
Yeah.
And now I have to deal with my dad more, which is it's so different. I love him to death though, but it's
I
so
understand.
different.
Yes.
Just communicating with him,
For sure.
it's different. Me and my mom was like two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
And so and I grew up in a household where my dad still thinks of me as like a child.
Got
He
it.
still treats me that
Yes,
way.
baby girl.
Exactly. And we were raised as kids are better, seen and not heard.
Oh, for sure.
So it took me and taking care of my mom and us trying to come together as a team was
Right.
so difficult and making decisions together because he didn't see me as a person,
A decision
as
maker.
as
Right.
a decision maker. It was like I wear the pants, we're good,
Right.
but I'm coming from a younger generation, wanted to do things differently. So that's been a struggle in itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we just we're two generations.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we wanna treat my mom's illness differently. I'm like, we
Right.
should make decisions as a family.
Right.
My dad will say that, but
Yeah.
but he's
Then he
like,
runs off the
okay.
reservation.
Right.
And I'm like, what are you doing? I thought we were gonna decide on this as a family, and
We
he's-
were until I decided
Yeah. So just dealing with that has been a transition and
It's
almost
tough.
like getting to know my parents in a different
Oh,
way.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm seeing them so different
Yeah.
from when I was growing up. I'm like, I didn't know you were this way. Or,
Right.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a lot to deal with. It
Right.
You know,
really
I
is.
work with my father in the catering business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he taught me to have excellent work ethic. He taught me how to work hard. Well, both of my parents did. And, so I had the experience of work with him, working out and learning from him. And now that he's not working, of course, plus he's ill, now I appreciate him in a different light because I actually get a chance to stop and sit and just listen to the stories.
Right.
So I'm although it's sad because I want to say, Dad, let's go watch the Rockets. Let's go to a game. Right. Let's watch boxing. Let's go to a boxing match. But we can't do that now.
Right.
So it's a change of lifestyle. It's learning to appreciate the way life is for them now.
Right. It is. And you have to pause and sometimes be reflective and give yourself permission to accept them and receive in who they are today, because you didn't see them in that light, right? When they're raising you, they are strong. They are boisterous. They are, molding you and shaping you and assisting you in that way. And now it's you doing those things for them and being their advocate.
Yes.
Like now being my mother's advocate some days can be, gut wrenching, and I want to pull my hair out because I'm like, this, and why is this happening?
Right.
She had a closet put in, and this guy knocks all these holes in the wall as he's removing what was there. And I called Joseph and I'm like, there's holes in the wall. He was like, can you see the insulation? I was like, well, there isn't any insulation. And so he was like, okay, that's fine, but we need those holes patched up still. And so then it's calling them, and my brother's a lawyer, so it's calling him, and it's like, hey, and he's like, hey, we're gonna play the geriatric role because if this is how you treat your geriatric patrons.
Right.
And so then it was just screaming at them on the phone, coordinating everything, and I'm like, I have my own life. Right. But it's pausing for them because now they're in a place and space of need, which is a place that we've never seen them, right? We needed them, they didn't need us. And so that some days can be a lot.
That is hard. That's definitely hard to deal with.
Something. Well, just the need. I mean, he needs us. We have to do everything for him.
Right.
Really everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, the need is so great, and not feeling appreciated, and and all.
Yeah.
It's challenging and it's difficult.
It's a sacrifice.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It
But I worry about my mother in that she is there day in and day out having to care until I could get there, and it takes a toll on her. And
that's why I worry about my brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's some days I'll walk in and she's screaming at my dad, I just need you to go outside and put some weed eater on the lawn. Just go. And I'm thinking, does she know that he doesn't get around well? It's like she's still in her mind. I think she sometimes is in denial.
Right.
She
I
thinks
think
that
they can be.
yes, because he did everything. I mean, they were truly a cohesive. They had a cohesive marriage. I mean, they were great partnership.
That's
he
awesome.
did his thing, she did her thing, and
They ran the machine.
it was a well-oiled machine.
And that's hard for them too.
It's hard for
it's
him.
changing
And that's
for
what I
them.
tell her. I said, you have to be able to empathize. Do you think that he's happy about not being able to cut the grass?
Right.
Or, put the weed eater or whatever it is that you want him to do?
Right.
No, he's not happy. I need you to just stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have outside help for them?
No.
Anybody coming
No.
in from? Okay. Well,
I'm the outside help.
Right. Well, let's have a conversation about
Yeah,
that.
we
I'm pretty
need to
good
talk
at
definitely
I'm pretty good
need
at getting
help.
that
You can't
outside
do it
help.
by yourself.
Well, my mother
You
is
really
very
can't.
prideful.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but pride go before the fall, right? And
See,
so-
that's how my mom was.
I know.
She was conditioned.
Yes.
You take care of your parents
Right.
until they, go to the higher place.
Right.
And she took care of so many people.
Yeah.
Right.
And she did not take care of herself. And this is what is going to happen to your mom. And so
Yeah.
you have
But you
to.
do have to pause like that.
Yeah.
I remember one day, I had to change the way I worked at work because I would wake up and immediately look at the phone. And because part of my business is overseas for my job, part of my colleagues I'm responding to emails. And I would wake up in this place of fighting and just angry, and then I had to go to work and do 15 other things, and then my goddaughter wants to come over and I want to get her, and then I had to go do 17 things. And I remember calling my girlfriend that's like family, and I called my sister friend, and I felt like I was having a heart attack. My chest was hurting,
goodness.
my head was
Wow.
hurting. Maybe it was just anxiety and stress.
The stress.
And I was sitting in the car, and I put my head back, and originally I had called my mother, and my mother was like, "What?" And I was like, I
I just can't
I'm gonna
do
quote,
it.
I not. I'm gonna quote my niece. She always says, I not, meaning my whole person. I not. So I was like, I not. I was like, Mom, let me call someone else. This was not, you're not my person right now.
Right.
So I called my sister friend and she's like, I need you to breathe. And understandably, we're in high power positions and roles that our parents didn't play. And so they don't necessarily understand.
Don't get it.
But I need you to do some things differently because right now you're not in a good place to serve you, your godchild, or anybody else. And it was just drinking that in that moment and just saying, okay, I have to breathe. But being everybody to everyone, right?
Yeah.
You can't do it alone.
You cannot.
We had home health care come in.
And that's what I was going to say. Yes.
Some of the family, stepping in and doing it. And even though home health care has its limitations,
it does.
It gave me an outlet, trusting them. Exactly. We went through a lot at home.
Oh, well, we do have home health care for my godmother. So, so there is people there to help her.
Some relief.
Yes, some relief from my mom. But still, for my dad, my mother is so.
And you can still get it for your father if
you
you go
can
through
get
the right
it for
channels. You
your
have
dad.
to specifically do the doctor and massage them in such a way that they understand, and then you end up with it. So we can talk about that for sure because you need that for your peace of mind while you're not
for
there.
Your self-care.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I was able to get away and do things for myself when I had home health care come in and take some of the responsibility off, because if I didn't do anything for myself, I was gonna lose myself. I mean, I really did feel that. I had my friends calling me and telling me, oh my God, you're such an incredible daughter, you left your job, you moved home, and oh, thank God they have you, because I don't think I could do that.
Right.
And I used to think, wow, she's so selfish. She's incredible. But honey, it's
a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Sometimes I look back and I'm thinking, did I do the right thing, putting my life on hold? So you have those type of questions.
Right, you do.
Right.
But again, it's a sacrifice. You can't give 110% of yourself constantly
and
without losing something.
Yes, and that's part of being
So.
sandwiched. And a funny thing is that on Facebook, one of my undergrad, I guess, associates or alumni, she created a group, and we actually vented here, and it's the sandwich group.
Oh, that's great.
And so you have to think about interrelating with other people who are going through the same thing, and they understand. So if you're like, my dad made me so mad today, they get it, and it's okay. Whereas a friend who's not going, how could she be so angry with her dad? Like, he raised her. Like, what? They don't get it.
Right.
So it's interrelating with those people who can support you from that way, because you need that support where you're in a judge-free zone, right? It's no flex.
Because you do feel judged. You do feel, I would feel guilty just taking the little bit of time for myself.
Right.
And I would feel like, oh, I could be at home doing this and that. But you have to do it.
It's a work in progress.
Right.
And I'm still working on it too. But I'm starting to feel less guilty about taking time for myself.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older than you, so it took me time.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a day or two.
But it took me time to get there.
And it does take time. You know, you have to have those moments where you sit down and do nothing. And I like the commercial about the man who's going to mop the floor, and then he's like deep couch sitting. And I know that we as women very seldomly have deep couch sitting. And my sister was over a couple weeks ago, and she said something about deep couch sitting, and she was like, you need to just sit on the couch. But I can't. So if I'm watching TV, then I'm folding clothes or I'm doing something else.
And you're thinking about what you need to do. Not really relaxed.
Yes, just do nothing. And you have to take those moments too. The laundry is gonna be there. The kitchen is still gonna need to be clean.
That's right.
The children are still gonna need to be tended to.
The job is gonna be there too.
The job, the emails,
right? If you kill yourself trying to do
they
it
will
all,
hire somebody.
Yeah, they will
tomorrow.
hire somebody. And I always tell people that job is going to be there. Your health is not.
And I'm guilty of that because I sent an email last night at 11:30.
Oh my God! Stop the madness.
Stop, unplug, pull the plug.
I think that's part of self-care too, is unplugging.
It is.
And getting the quiet time, whether it's, just not thinking of anything or focusing on one thing.
That's right. That's right.
And we always want to be multitaskers, and you can't do everything, and that even ramps you up even more. So it is that quiet time pausing.
Well, ladies, I could I could listen to you guys all day long. But unfortunately, we do have to wrap it up. But I would like to close by having you all share your story as to how you were able to successfully care for your parents, get the care that they need, and practice self-care and take care of yourself so you can be the best version of yourself. What advice would you give to those ladies that are watching and they're going through it right now?
For me, it's just taking a few minutes each day. You know, with when we're taking care of others, we may not have like a huge self-care book to read,
right,
or an hour of a time to go work out, but
right,
just a few minutes of just self-reflection on gratitude in the mornings. If you start
right,
your day off positively,
right,
it'll change your whole mindset for
that's
the
right,
day.
That's
And for
right.
me, that's what I practice.
Okay.
Getting up and starting the day on a positive
That's
note,
right.
instead of, oh my God, I have so much. If you start off that way, you're going to be overwhelmed before
right,
breakfast.
before you,
So you really have to start your day off with the gratitude and with the I can do it attitude, and just taking that time in the morning. I took a few minutes in the morning, and I took a few minutes when I went to bed at night, just to kind of decompress and just release. I liked her idea of having the circle of people you can call and vent to, because you do need an outlet.
You do.
So, and bringing in extra help to kind of give you, even if it's 30 minutes to run to the store.
It is by yourself.
By yourself. you need to be by yourself to practice the self-care, because if you're not in the best condition to take care of the your parents, then who else is going to do it?
Wow.
Right.
Allyson, what about
Well,
you?
just same kind of philosophy, allowing yourself the time. And I, over the last few years, and I know everybody doesn't have time, but have gotten into yoga, and I've learned just breathing, learning how to breathe, to let it out. And if you don't have a group, as I mentioned earlier, journaling or getting it out in some fashion.
Yes.
Your feelings or just what you need to say. I think that helps. And being grateful. I'm working on that too every morning and every evening. Just at least he's still here. At least I have him.
That's right.
And then healing.
That's right.
Because we all have
a
trauma
story.
from
Right.
childhood.
And everybody's going through something.
We all have a story and a path, and be it straight or crooked, it's still ours, right?
Right.
And so for me, it is that it's morning meditation, it's night meditation. It is sometimes carving that space out in the middle of the day. So what I would say to those going through this, don't feel guilty about taking your space. You only have one life to live.
That's right.
And you do have this responsibility now, but you still have to be the best version of you.
That's
because
right.
once they are gone, you still have to be here. You don't get to lay down and give up because it's over now, right? I remember when my dad died, I was like, okay, so what do I do now with this free time, right? What's next? I have free time. Right. Okay, how do I manage this? But it's
figured that out pretty quickly.
I did.
Well, we become codependent.
Yeah. We do. We become codependent to that. And so it's really breathing through it and finding your rhythm. You've got to dance to your own drum. Nobody else can tell you how to do this and how to live your life. And so you've got to do the best according to you and the best according to them as well. What you would like someone to give unto you, give unto your parents as well.
Wow. Right. Well, I want to raise my glass to all of you. So, bottoms up, ladies.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Y'all are some great daughters.
You as well.
You too.
Well, thank you all for joining me. I am sure that by you all sharing your story here today, you have certainly inspired or empowered and hopefully educated a lot of ladies out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And for all of you that are watching, thank you so much for joining me. If there are any topics that you would like us to cover on the show, or better yet, if you would like to be a guest on the show and you live in the Houston, Texas area, please reach out to us at realtalkwitharlette.com and click Let's Talk. Until next time, ladies, I would encourage you to be faithful, be fearless, but most importantly, just be yourself.